I'm going to be giving you guys the secret that all the best ranked players in the world are currently hiding from you. From world class off spawn advice, the best weapons to take that all the pros are currently using, and the ins and outs behind all the mechanics that go into rank, I'm going to be exposing a 5-pillar strategy you need to know to escape plat and finally hit diamond rank. Pillar number 1, how the rank system actually works. First of all, we need to discuss how the rank system actually works in regards to platinum rank. When you was in gold rank, you was actually already playing against other plat players. This is because high gold and plat lobbies are mixed together. Unless your region is completely dead, you won't actually be placed with diamond rank players. This will help keep diamond as a big step up, as their lobbies are actually mixed with elite lobby players, but this means you've already technically escaped plat rank. The only difference now is you're just gaining less points for killing the gold rank players, instead of banking on killing other plat players to get most of your points. The biggest thing though you need to be prioritizing if you actually want to escape any rank, especially platinum, when you go towards them higher ranks, is consistency. I know you've probably heard this all the time, but the better position you finish in the game, the more points you're going to gain in your next game. This is because Epic Games want to actually reward players who can consistently make it to end game, apart from people trying to drop 20-30 kill wins every game. So if you want to know more about the rank system and all the ins and outs and actually how it works, I made a full video on it, which was my last video, and I'll link that at the end of this video and will also leave it in the description down below. But that brings us nicely onto pillar number 2, drop spots. I get asked the question all the time of Taven, what is the best drop spot in the game? Should I contest a POI? Should I land on the edge of the map? And I'm going to answer all those questions for you now. First of all, because you don't actually lose that many points, especially in platinum rank, you lose around 2 to 5% from what I figured out. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, depending on that consistency. You can dash spawn like 3, 4, 5, 6, probably in 7, 8 times and still make them points back in literally one game. So for platinum through to about maybe elite, probably champion more likely, I actually recommend you land a POI. It doesn't matter which POI you decide to contest, pick one, maybe 2 drops you really like on the map and only land there. For all the players who still feel none the wiser over which POI they should actually pick if they don't have one in mind, a few I personally recommend actually include Reckless Railways and Snooty Steppers. These two are both big POIs which have really good loot to the player density. Definitely better for those players who like to avoid them 50-50s and pick up a bit of loot before rushing into fights, and maybe like to get that opening damage a bit like myself. Lavish Lair is actually really good spot if you know the spot. If you know it, I would definitely recommend you land there because it can be a really solid place, but if you've never really landed there, it can get a bit sweaty, so I would recommend the Classy Courts just a bit above. It's a bit like Lavish Lair, just a little less sweaty, and the players, let's just say, not usually the best. Restored Reels is also a great spot for people who like to get a bit of loot but don't mind sort of going into a few 50-50s early on. And finally, Fencing Field, which is a great spot for most players. It's up to you if you want to learn one of the new POIs. I know Brawler's Battleground just behind Mount Olympus is a decent spot, but the spots with medallions might take quite a bit of dying off spawn to learn, but if you can learn them, it'll definitely give you a solid loot spot where you'll be able to pick up a lot of loot and potentially get quite a few kills off spawn early on. But just take that time, especially in like gold, plat lobbies, to really find that spot that works for you. So as soon as you get towards those elite and champion lobbies where consistency is an absolute must every single game, you'll have a spot that you will have nailed down and mastered, which will just help you out so much on your grind to Unreal rank. With that being said, that has actually brought us nicely onto pillar number 3, and that is off spawn. With that being said, I first of all want to talk about how the bus route can impact drop spots. Let's say the bus route is coming from here, from Snooty, across all the way to Classy Courts. Now, this is going to affect near enough every single drop spot on the map. It doesn't matter where you land, whether you land Brawler's Battleground, Fencing Fields, Grim Gate, wherever you land, this bus route is going to affect your drop spot. Let me explain. Let's say you like to land at Reckless Railways. Now, when going towards Reckless Railways, you're probably going to jump off the bus if you want the best drop, probably somewhere around here. Maybe people might jump off like here. And maybe worse comes worse, people with a really bad drop might drop off here. And because of that, most people are going to open up their gliders super early. Obviously, the further away the bus is from the spot, this is going to impact it more. But what this actually means is most people, especially people that don't have a good drop, are going to drop for this front side here. So the front side of every single POI is always going to be contested the heaviest. So for restored reels as well, most people are going to drop off back here. So this area here is going to be super heavily contested off spawn. So you're probably thinking, okay, Taven, now we know this, how do we actually utilize this information to our advantage? Well, all that means is that these back spots over here are going to be contested by most likely no one, maybe 1 to 2 people at max, but utilizing this back sort of space here, so these buildings at the back, what they're going to do is they're going to make your off spawn much less 50-50, increasing your chances of actually winning off spawn. And I've been using this so much in ranked, and I've been using it for seasons now. I think I started doing this back towards sort of like the Mega City season, and trust me, it has made my off spawn 100 times easier. And again, this works for every single bus. Let's say the bus is going over here, so in between Classy and Grand Glacier, so it's kind of flipped on its head. Rather than it looking like this, these spots at the front here are going to be super contested. So by landing at one of these back buildings here, you're going to minimize your chances of getting in a fight right away. Now we know how that works, let's get into the overall off spawn tip. And the reason why I actually recommend you guys to pick 1 to 2 spots to master is because if your spot is on the edge of the map and the bus route is going directly over it, never drop off at a first spot on the bus. So many people when playing ranked are just lazy and decide to drop off on the first drop of the bus, and all this causes is an absolute chaotic off spawn, which makes it super hard to win. And this is what all the best players actually do. They're going to drop off on them first spots on the bus, because if you're looking for 20-30 kill win, let's be honest, you need to land as soon as you can and need to start killing. So most people are going to drop off straight away at the first big POI that comes up on the map. So to avoid that big 50-50 with some of the best players in the lobby, make sure that you've got 1 to 2 spots in mind, especially if your spot is on the edge of the map. In all my ranked videos I make, I say to you guys before fighting players, there are 3 things you need to ensure you get if you want to make the game easier to win. And you guys have been using this and have absolutely loved the tips. And this is, number 1, you need a shotgun, or overall just good loot. I think it's near enough impossible to get into a close range fight without a shotgun and actually win it, unless you have the best SMG aim in the world or the other guy has the same loot as you. Even still, by not taking that extra few seconds to get a shotgun and just loot a couple chests, you're making the game harder for yourself than it needs to actually be. Take an extra 20-30 seconds, loot an extra 3-4 chests in your building. Ensure you have good enough loot to fight. If you get a sniper and a DMR out of 2 chests, why on earth are you WKing? Really think, each time you get a good weapon, your chances of winning the fight increase. What I want all of you to start doing when you're in your next game is look at your loot and go, okay, my loot at the moment is 2 DMRs. This gives me a 5% chance of winning the fight. And then maybe you get an AR, so you go, okay, I got an AR, maybe it's gone up an extra 10%, so I've got a 15% chance of winning a fight. And then finally you pick up a good shotgun. Now you can think, okay, this is a bit more 50-50, and by calculating a percentage of winning, you're already boosting your odds with winning off spawn. The second thing that is going to boost your odds is mats. You can have a gold shotgun, you can have gold sniper, you can have literally your favorite loot in the whole of the game. But if you can't protect yourself in the middle of the open because you've got no mats and can't utilize edits and builds properly to your advantage in fights, you're making the game 200 times harder for yourself before you even getting started. I recommend people to have a total of 500 mats across wood, brick and metal as a bare minimum before fighting. Obviously, the earlier the game, the less you probably need because your opponent's going to have less. But usually when you have 500 off spawn, you're giving yourself the best chances of winning the fight because you usually are going to have more mats than every single person at your drop spot. Because to get that alone off Siphon, you're going to need to pick up at least 3 to 4 kills. And 500 is just going to give you enough mats to go for high, box up if you need to, take walls that's extra, and just boost them odds. And number 3 is shields. You can have 1,000 mats, a golden shotgun, your favourite loot in the game, like I said before, and all the medallions on the map. But if you're only 100 HP, you're still one shot. You're one shot to most of the shotguns in the game. You're one shot to the body by a sniper. So it's important that you keep looting till you preferably have over 100 shield. And by merging all 3 of these aspects into your game, it's near enough impossible to lose. You set yourself up with the #1 single-handedly best chance to go out and win. Now we're demon off spawn. That brings us on to pillar number 3. VOD reviewing your fights. Every single time you die in Fortnite, I recommend you watch it back. Have clips on or go into replays and watch it back and see what you did wrong. When I got to my best point ever in Fortnite, where I was able to drop 20-30 kill games in real rank lobbies, I can consistently drop 10, 15 to 20 kill wins in solo cash cups with absolutely zero problem. I would actually watch every single ranked game and see what I did wrong and worked on it in creative for at least 10 to 15 minutes. And by doing this, I went from losing off spawn 3 times in a row to all of a sudden winning off spawns consistently with 6, 7, 8 kills straight away. And by no means do you need to do this for every single kill if you don't actually take the game that seriously, but now and then just checking on kills and looking for ways to improve is going to help your game so much and make it so much easier for you. But by doing this consistency, it got to the point where I was entering end games in ranked with like 15-20 kills with absolute ease, and I could just kill people in like 5 to 10 seconds and just absolutely smoke some really good players. Anyways, I'm going to review a couple of my clips as an example so you can sort of see what you need to look for, because saying going out and just VOD review can be a little bit tricky for some of you to think, well, what do I actually do? So every time you take some sort of damage in a fight, you have made a mistake and there is some sort of problem or some sort of mistake that you've made, and sometimes the mistake isn't even instantly. It's not a mistake that you made straight away. It could be one that you made 10-15 seconds ago that has led to you taking damage. Now all I want you to do is take a look at this clip here on screen and me landing at Grim Gate. I just want you guys to think, what was the mistake here that led to me taking the damage? Now, I reckon most of you are sitting there right now thinking, what is that mistake? Okay, so this guy's landing, he got the shotgun. The mistake that Taven made is he went for the chest down below. And if we actually skip it back even further, we'll actually find the mistake isn't anything to do with that. The mistake actually came from my drop. If I had a better drop for this platform here, I would have been able to land on the shotgun before he could even land on the roof and drop down. Now don't get me wrong, I actually had the lower drop at this point, but it wasn't perfect, which allowed him to do that. And then all I could do then is go down below, use my mats to my advantage, and I was able to pick up the kill. Now let's take a look at another clip that I've got here of where I actually die in a mid game. So first of all, I go up for high ground and then have a look what happens here. In this situation, most of you guys are gonna sit there and go, this game is absolutely ridiculous. The Zeus thing is stupidly broken and needs to get removed. But let's really break down here what happened. First of all, I miss a shotgun shot. I then continue to miss a load of SMG shots and then make another mistake of switching to my shotgun. But the best thing I could have done in this situation was just stand still and shoot him. No matter what happens, this guy's gonna hit me with the lightning bolt. I cannot prevent that. But I'm going into the fight with nearly 200 health. There is absolutely zero way I should have died to him. He's literally standing still. That is definitely one for the aim trainer, and that is definitely one for me to learn. And remember, next time that happens, just stand still and shoot him. The splash damage of the lightning bolt is ridiculous anyway. I might as well get the headshot. And finally, we got one more clip in the mid game where I'm actually ramping up to get height on this guy, which definitely is the best move to make in this situation because it forces the guy to box. Then I make the perfect move of going for the lightning bolts as they just absolutely shred people through walls. But here's where my mistake actually comes in. As you can see, when I make my edit, I put myself in a really bad situation. If I was going to make the same edit that he just made, realistically speaking, at this point, I should be strafing right over to that left, giving myself a nice right hand peek and making it very hard for him to return any damage. Instead though, I stand here, shoot my shotgun shot at the cone, I then retake his cone and just make myself super easy to take some damage and miss a shot. Eventually, obviously, I do end up clearing up the kill. But realistically speaking, at this point, I'm 100-100. I should have finished this fight 100-100. There's absolutely zero way at the end of the fight I should have been 46 HP. So if you can consistently watch times where you've taken damage and you can find ways to reduce your deaths, that's going to 100x your skill in literally a couple of days, just from that one tip alone. And I really did not want to leak this tip, as this is the highest level tip possible that will literally be able to take you to a pro level in literally anything in the whole world. Anything that you like, the ability to be able to watch back your games or watch back whatever it is and analyze mistakes and fix them or find things to work on, that is a secret that separates a super good player from a pro. But that actually brings us nicely onto pillar number 4, which is mid-game. Going into every single mid-game, your goal should be to get some sort of starting damage. I don't care if that means you flick your mouse around non-stop 360 degrees to make sure you see your enemy before they see you. If that's the case, that's what you got to do. But getting that 50, 60, 70 plus damage shot before starting the fight makes the game 1,000 times easier for yourself. If you watch any pro player in the solo cash cup, you will notice one thing about all their mid-game fights in particular that they do very well, and that's their ability to hit players for big chunks of damage before even starting the fight. It's the same as me kind of taking your shotgun off you in a mid-game fight and saying go fight and win. It doesn't make it impossible to win, but it doesn't half make it 100 times harder. Most likely, this is going to make you panic when I take your shotgun off you, and that's exactly what that opening damage does. So it's so important that you get it on your opponent, not your opponent getting it on you. When actually in mid-game this season, a ton of you have asked the question of what's the best loadout to have. By the looks of it, the current meta loadout that all the pros are taking is actually the Thunderburst SMG. This is super strong, and I'm not gonna lie, SMGs in rank just shred opponents. They're absolutely crazy. Shoot them at walls, and the amount of kills you're gonna get is just unbelievable. As well as the Gatekeeper shotgun. This is literally it for the gun, so it's just 3 sets of meds. So use that as you must, as that's what all the pros are currently taking. In terms of fighting in the mid game this season, it's super important to get high ground. This is kind of the same as every season, but this is more of a reminder than some sort of secret. Make sure you're prioritizing high ground, as it's what's going to set you apart and put you in the #1 best position just to go out there and win the fight. But now we're destroying the early and the mid game, we're on to our final pillar, pillar number 5. And this is endgame. In endgame, there are a few things to look out for. One is people boxing. Anyone who's boxed up in endgame of a ranked match is most likely very scared, so I would 100% recommend that you go and push them. A few indicators of someone's skill can obviously include if they're boxed. If someone's boxed up, they're most likely playing more for endgame, they're a little more nervous compared to someone who's roaming around looking for kills. And the second thing is actually reaction times. There's a lot you can take from a player's skill just from how long it takes them to react to you shooting them. I think this is one of the biggest indicators on how good someone is actually if you just shoot them and just see how long it takes them to react. If they instantly flick around and replace the wall, it shows 1, they know their sense like the back of their hand, and 2, they're on it, they're alert, they're playing on their A game. So most likely they're going to be a better player, so just go up to them with a little more caution. This is obviously not always the case, but most of the time a player's reaction times and ability do actually link together. But overall, there's not actually too many tips I can give you in endgame. It's about trying to clutch up. If you do the right stuff in the mid game, you should have the loot and the meds to go out there and win the end game. Endgame's very situational. Spray at people's boxes, always keep your eyes out for them free kills, and remember, if you made it to the end game, you're one of the better players in the lobby, so go out there and clutch it up. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I respond to all the comments down below, so if you've still got any questions at the end of this, or you just want to thank me for the video, please do it down below. It means the world to me. And if you like this video, you may also like my full breakdown on the rank system, which is currently on screen now.